my first question for you is what made you interested in acting? Like, was there a specific movie or actor that really interested you to kind of go down this path?
So I went to a high school in the LA area called Van Nuys High School, and it was a performing arts magnet. So when I was 15 years old, I went to see a play, and I was mesmerized by the actors in this play. And specifically, one of them, there was this woman who was so beautiful, and she was a senior, which to me was just so old and fabulous. She's 18 years old, and her name is Ashley Lawrence, and so she's acting. And she was just so brilliant on stage that I thought, oh, this is what I want to do. So I started auditioning for roles. And when I wouldn't get parts, I would work backstage and loved theater. However, I have to say that at that point, and I'm really aging myself, like the actors kind of around my age group were Molly Ringwald, and
Mhm.
there was Phoebe Cates, and they were amazing, but they were not, like, I didn't see any representations of myself. So for me, acting for film and television were like, this is what the gods do. This is not at all something that it's like a pipe dream for me. So I I thought, well, maybe theater problem was I live in Los Angeles and it's not really a land of theater. So I went to UCLA and decided to go to medical school, and didn't. I became a biological anthropology major, which was a pre-med major. And when I graduated, I started touring the globe as a lead actress in Persian theater. So we would do
Oh,
plays in Farsi and tour the whole world except for Iran. We couldn't go to Iran.
wow.
And so I thought, yes, I'm doing plays. And it was fairly recently that I've gotten into film and television.
Wow. So how did you end up in biomedical or what? So I'm
Right.
not good with
So,
science.
yeah, biological, oh yeah,
But
biological anthropology.
yeah.
Okay. So originally I still had the dream of one day becoming an actor. And so I thought if I learn cultural anthropology, that's going to help me to know people from all over the world, and it'll make me to be able to be a better actor. And I didn't want to get my degree in theater because I thought, if you're going to school, might as well get your degree in something else just in case. And then I had a boyfriend who I had fallen in love with, and we were living together. And oh Lord, they call it shacking it up. And he wasn't comfortable with the idea of me being an actor. And so he just kept pushing me, get into fights all the time. And I was young. So I thought, okay, I'll just become, I'll go to med school. I'll make him happy, and I'll make my dad very happy because I am, Iranian after all. And we only have three fields. There's medicine, law, or business. So at least I'll make him happy. And so I was very depressed. It took me 6 years, honey, to graduate.
Wow.
What other people 4, because it was so science heavy. And
Hmm.
but I graduated, and as soon as I graduated, a theater company snatched me up, thank God, and so I've been doing plays in Persian for about 20 years.
That's amazing. That's very my family's Greek, so I know the whole idea. Yeah. My last name's Kakadelis, so it's
Oh
very
wow!
obviously Greek.
I
But
love
I
it.
know the I'm sorry.
Tehran is filmed in Greece.
That was one of my questions I wrote down. I know they filmed the first season there. Was the second season filmed in Athens too?
Yes, absolutely. And
Awesome.
Greece is so amazing.
It's
Greece
gorgeous.
is so beautiful.
I still have family in Athens, and then my family's from Lesbos. So we have a lot of family still on Lesbos. The one island that's like, we're not going to be a Greek tourist island.
Yeah.
So when you prepare for a role, do you have like a specific set of like research that you go into it? I know some people like making like playlists that fit with their character. Do you journal? Do you have something specific that you go through each time you do a new role?
I feel very fortunate that one of my best friends is also my coach, and he's my creative partner. His name is Hitoshi Inoue. So when I prepare for roles, he helps me to craft characters. And sometimes we get into it and we fight and don't see eye to eye, but he's always right. And so the research, he's also really good digitally, which I'm not. So I do a lot of research, and so he helps me find a lot of things online because there's so
Awesome.
much of research is now on YouTube. So I
For
did a ton of work. Yeah. Mhm.
what kind of research do you mean? Do you mean like for like accents or characters? What are you looking for?
Accents or characters, and for Tehran specifically, as you know, it's not uh, a secret, but the character that I play, Nahid Kamali, is going through some very deep psychological issues,
Hmm.
going through agoraphobia and depression and deep PTSD. So all of that takes an intense amount of research to be able to do it well and to see. And so on YouTube, there are people that are going through it. So you can sit and you can watch their behavior and watch their eyes
Oh,
and
wow.
learn.
Yeah, that's super fascinating. I hadn't thought about like with the way social media is now, where people are like documenting their emotions and like documenting the things that they're struggling with. I never thought about it from an acting point of view. I thought of it from other people who are experiencing it. They can seek these things out and use it to help them. But that's very interesting to use it as like to authenticate your portrayal and like very deeply. I
Mhm.
like that. That's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Um, so I saw that you've acted, you've directed, you've produced, and you've narrated a documentary.
Mhm.
Of those roles, do you have any that you find more fulfilling than another?
I love doing voiceover work so much because
Yeah.
there's so much you could do in voiceover. And I did this one a series of short animated pieces where I played 8 different characters, and most of them men. So I played, and it was in Farsi with English subtitles, but I played like a judge and several different police officers and the defendant and some women. So voiceover is a lot of fun, and also that you could do it in your pajamas and nobody cares. But,
That
but
is a nice
yeah,
benefit.
and I don't have to tone it down with my face, which I have to do acting all the time. Tone it down. So people can.
So it looks like writing is the last piece of like the puzzle. You've kind of done everything else as far as the creative world. Do you have any interest in writing
I have
your
so
own?
often, but writing for me again, writing for me is what the gods do, as acting was once upon a time. So hopefully one day, I would love to be able to write one day. I have such respect for writers,
Mhm.
how they do what they do.
Yeah,
How
especially with a show like Tehran, where it's just a bunch of different plots kind of all weaving their way together. It's very impressive just as a viewer.
Oh yeah, and the creators of Tehran are such amazing artists. The Omri Shenhar and the
Mhm.
Danny Sirkin he's not only in the writing room, but he's the director of all the episodes.
Wow.
Moshe Zonder. And also the producers, Donna Eden, the Julianne Leroux, Alana Lanya, they are all part of the creation of it, even though they're not physically writing it down, but they all, lead the story.
Yeah.
And as well as the Apple team, by the way, Apple TV Plus has an incredible team of creators. So they also lead the story into where it should go. Writing, boy, one day I sure would love to be a writer one day.
So what made you interested in Tehran? Like for the first season, what got you interested in being part of the project?
I had a dinner. So Danny Sirkin, the director, he came to LA and he took Shaun Toub, who plays Faraz Kamal. He plays
Mhm.
the husband of my character, Nahid Kamali. He took us out to dinner, and it was during that dinner that I found out that, number one, it's very important for an actor, that this character, she's not an ornamental character as so many of these characters are. So many, oh, she's the wife, she's the doting wife. Oh, honey, are you okay? You know, but that she's very intricately involved in the plot in season one, and then much more so. At that point, I didn't know, but she's very intricately involved in the plot in season two. But also knowing how much he cares for Iranians, because I'm an Iranian American. So it was important to me that Iranians aren't portrayed as these one-dimensional bad guys, you know, and they're not. They're all, like, even my husband, Faraz Kamali, he plays the antagonist, and they go into his life, and, you know, as an audience member, you find yourself rooting for him, you know.
Yeah, that was really interesting to me, is that like nobody was portrayed as all good or all bad. They kind of, every character kind of moves in and out of, you know, who you're kind of rooting for. And you mentioned Shaun Toub. Did I pronounce his last name right? Okay. You guys have been in quite a few projects together. Do you have like a very strong working relationship now?
I sure do. We were, and thank you for mentioning, Shaun Toub and I were on another Apple TV show called Little America, which is an anthology series, and it is such a good show. I wish people would go and watch it. I hope there's going to be a season 2, because it was such a beautiful show. And it was an important show, because during a time where the immigrants were being viewed in a negative light, Apple TV created this show that they're these true stories. It was there were stories. There was a magazine called Epic Magazine that had done these articles on several different stories of immigrants, and they turned those into a TV show. So every episode is like a short film, and they're shown in such a lovely light. It's just natural and fun and funny, and it's not this negative thing. It's not this horrible thing of awful things happening to them in America, but it's the reason why we come to America. And so Shaun played my husband, and his character's name was Faraz on that show as well. And I'd never heard the name Faraz before, and his name is Faraz again on this show. So it's happy coincidence. But Shaun and I really connected on Little America. So I keep hearing that we have a lot of chemistry between us, and I think it's because of our working relationship. We'd actually worked together before Little America's Man and Wife too.
Oh, wow.
He played my gay husband, and I caught him.
So as far as season 2, like, what were you most excited about when you first got your script for season 2 of Tehran? What were you excited to kind of see where your character went?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that? I was thinking about catching him as my gay husband. My mind was.
Yeah, my question was just, what were you most excited about when you got the scripts for season 2? Like, were you excited to see where your character went, or like where like a fan favorite of your own, where their character was going? What about season 2 was just really exciting for you?
I have to be honest with you. I was most excited about 2 things. Most excited about acting with Miss Glenn Close. Are you kidding me? I pinch myself. Excited and terrified. And I was also very excited about the fact that they trusted me as an actor enough in season 1 to give me a very difficult challenge in season 2, which was with all the psychological trauma that I was going through in season 2.
Yeah, my next question was actually about Glenn Close. You guys, I think it's episode 3. You guys have like a very tense, it's just the 2 of you. I think in your living room, your character's living room is like a really, really good scene that's super interesting to watch just as a viewer. So can you take me through that, and like what it was like working with her, and like, I guess how it felt?
So I'm going to take you through the preparation of it. You know, as I'm preparing for the role, I knew that I really had to not like her, and I knew that it's my house, and I need to be in control, and I'm the one who's going to not look at her in the eyes and give her this F you and not look at her. And the whole time I'm preparing, I'm thinking, oh my God, but it's Glenn Close. How am I going to not look at her? How am I going to not? And then when I met her, those beautiful blue eyes, I just wanted to dive into her eyes all the time. Like, no, you're not going to look at her. It was wonderful to act.
Are there more? Are there more meetups between the two of your characters as the season goes on?
I don't know. We'll have to wait for the season to go on and see.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It was just amazing. It was just, and she really did up my level of acting. So I remember at one point the makeup artist ran over to me. There was a scene where I needed to cry, and he said, honey, would you like a tear stick? And I was thinking, are you kidding me? A tear stick acting with Glenn Close? No, of course not. Embarrassing. So I did that all on my own.
Oh, that's very impressive.
Which, by the way, as an actor, you're supposed to do anyway. But yeah, the tear sticks are for those moments you see these actors and there's nothing happening, and there's one tear that comes down. That's not natural.
No, it can't be natural. So with season 2 being shot in Greece again, did you guys have any COVID or international travel issues, like with everyone getting to the set, or was it pretty easy?
Thank goodness, no. Thank goodness, no. The international travel issues that we had was during the premiere in New York. One of my dear friends who plays Faraz's boss, he plays a really bad guy. He plays an idiot, but his name is Abbas Fasain. He's a dear friend of mine, and he's an acting teacher. He teaches method acting in Brussels, and he couldn't come to the premiere from Brussels because there just wasn't enough time, and they wouldn't give a visa. So that was sad. He sent his wife and 5 of his students from his acting school, and he couldn't come himself. But no, we didn't have problems during filming. For COVID, we were very careful. It was tough. Everyone was wearing masks all the time. And at that point, if you wanted to go into a restaurant, afterwards, which I didn't really go out much, but you had to show a vaccine card to go in. But yeah.
So the show originally premiered in Israel in June of 2020, but it didn't get internationally released until September. So how did Apple's purchase of international rights, international showing rights, change your experience with the show? Did things all of a sudden it just blew up?
Show so much better. Bless you. Apple. Thank you. Show so much better. I mean, really, season 2 is an Apple product. It's completely an Apple original in season 2 because, suddenly we had a real, oh my God, 3 times the amount of crew as before, and the Apple team. What I was very much aware of is that they have a hand in the story, so they give a lot of notes, and yeah, so it felt like a studio. It felt, whereas it felt like an independent project in season 1. It was like a full-on studio project in season 2.
And you kind of mentioned it earlier when you were talking about making sure that the representation wasn't just one-dimensional. Was that even more front of mind when you were going into season 2 with Apple, and now there are more eyes on this project? Were you concerned about how these characters would be viewed instead of just the one-dimensional, sadly, portrayals of Iranian people that are on a lot of American TV shows?
More eyes on the project didn't worry me, because I'm always worried for that. Even when I was doing plays for the Iranian, once when I first started, we had 2 people in the audience, where there were more people on stage. But even with just 2 people in the audience, or 1,000 people in the audience, or, it doesn't matter how many eyes are watching. If I'm doing something, even for one person watching, it's important to me that there's truth in the representation, and there's truth in every moment of it.
Yeah. So my last question, you guys, you won an international Emmy last year. Congratulations on that. And you hold a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is wildly impressive.
Great.
So
So
what do
much.
you, yeah, what do you think makes the show like so interesting? Like what about it makes you a fan of it, even though you're on it?
I think what makes it so interesting is, first of all, is that it's so entertaining.
Mhm.
So regardless of the backdrop, and so the backdrop is this espionage and it's Tehran, but it is the way that it's written. It's so entertaining that when I was just reading the episodes as an actor, to prepare, that first time that I'd read an episode and you go from the first page to the last page, by the time I got to the last page of the episodes, I remember one time my mouth was like, I did this thing. It's written so fun and nail biting, and you white knuckle your way through just reading it, let alone the amazing way that Danny was able to, create it as a TV show to watch. And then the other thing is that, like you said, the fact that mm, all the characters are not, they're so nuanced. Every
Mhm.
single character is nuanced. There's nobody's just one dimensional. Um, so not only are you able to enjoy this espionage, the thrilling moments and the twists and turns, but you believe it. You believe it because when you see these fake one-dimensional characters, it takes you out. There's,
Mhm.
it's on a subconscious level, oh, this is fake.